Hello and welcome to Before the Free Counts. My name is Callum and I'm here with the wonderful, glorious, ever hard Charlie Crick.
Ever hard. That sounds really wrong. Hi everyone. Yeah, that's good. I love how we started speaking just as I was adjusting my microphone. Like, oh, let's start then. Okay, let me just. Hi everyone. I'm going to set up the podcast whilst you can hear all this rubbish in the background. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Before the Free Count podcast. In the red corner, it's Charlie Quick, and in the blue corner, it's Callum Hunt. And so, let the show begin.
Yes. Hi Callum. How are you?
Very good. Very, very direct. Very,
Like always.
no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But yeah, very well. The wrestling's been great. We've been away for a little while.
We didn't mean to. We did not mean to take last week off. It just got ahead of us. We do
Relax.
apologise. And we are going to catch up on the news of stuff that had happened or has happened.
Yeah.
That's the right wording, isn't it? Has happened since we've been away
What would you
for
like to talk
yet
about,
another week.
Charlie?
I'm going to start off this week, if that's all right, Callum. I think we should just dive straight in.
As long as you
Um,
invite.
so I think we should start off with what happened last week, which was the season premiere of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and NXT. No, NXT was last night. So you had the premiere of SmackDown. No, am I going to get this right? Was it the premiere of Raw first
I wasn't
and
aware
then
Raw
SmackDown
was
and then
premiering.
last night? Because now I'm confused why Tuesday last week wasn't the premiere of NXT.
I'm confused because I didn't even realize it was a premiere of Raw.
Because it's moved channels. That's why.
No, I didn't know Raw. I guess
Or
they got a new.
season premiere is what they call it when it goes to a new channel.
I
I
guess they
think
got a
it's
new.
gone. I can't remember which channel it's gone to. I'm not going to even try. But basically, because we are in a very weird time at the moment where um we're basically the next time we have a season premiere or something like that is when all of this gets chucked over to Netflix. So, they're not going to make major changes straight away on night one on Netflix, but they're going to start putting things in place now that I think we can expect to see. And we've noticed a few changes so far. I
Charlie,
just wanted to touch on that really quickly. Yes, Callum.
just intervene as such. So, are you aware that for US viewers, for American viewers, Raw will be the only product on Netflix to begin with, and USA will keep SmackDown. But for UK viewers, all
and
WWE
and all of Europe.
yeah, will be on Netflix. But I'm pretty sure actually for US viewers that the pay-per-views are going to be on Netflix.
We believe so because they are shutting down the network on November 22nd. Sorry, January 22nd or
I
something
mean,
like that. I know it's closing soon.
the US haven't had the network in ages, have they? Because it's all been on Peacock.
Yes, they closed the deal with them because Peacock brought the streaming rights and it was part of the whole Peacock package for a very long time. Which I think, do you know what the really funny thing was? And I know this because I remember when it happened. Did you know that the deal that went through for Peacock was actually going to include the same things, including pay-per-views on Sky, but BT got in and brought the rights instead because they were in the middle of a changeover and Sky didn't want to repay the rights. If Sky repaid the rights because they own HBO and they start working with NBC and Peacock, because of the way Sky TV in the UK is now, you would have got basically Sky TV, Sky Movies, and WWE Netflix all in one package, or Sky Sports, including all of the WWE
And I
packages.
and I think that's because when Sky didn't want to pay the rights for WWE, WWE wasn't in the best place. It was sort of
No,
Vince. and stuff. But WWE has never been thriving more. So I guess Sky probably really regrets that
Oh
decision.
god, yeah. Considering the amount of stuff they could have on there, so that's why the Peacock thing in the UK and the Paramount Plus thing has gone into place instead. It's because they realise how much of a deal they missed out on there. And I think BT have been like kind of clicking their heels for the last 4 or 5 years now.
Do you know the thing is, Triple H really has made wrestling cool, and he's really tapped into like mainstream media, and like even though people might not like it, getting like the likes of Logan Paul and Bad Bunny and people like that involved in WWE has just made it more of a mainstream thing.
The fact that you've got people like Post Malone as DLC in these games now, and you're getting references from people like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like Snoop Dogg, like not that he hadn't done stuff before, but like you're getting, but right, here's the best example I could think of. The fact that you are now getting Premier League teams get their own WWE belt and doing their own range of WWE clothing with Premier League football clubs, and they're doing the same with the NFL. There is no way that would have happened 5 years ago. Absolutely no way.
Genius marketing, and I can see it's just continuing and continuing, and I believe it's going to be the same effect as it has on country music, where country music wasn't almost cool to listen to, and then suddenly it has become cool, and you get people saying, "Oh, I really like country." I think the same thing's going to happen with like wrestling, and you're going to get like
Oh, 100%.
get like
100%. I think you and me have been saying this for a while,
yeah.
is that, and I keep on saying it to people at the moment, especially within the last year we've had. I definitely started saying this around about March this year to people when, like, some of them will mention, "Oh, I used to watch it in the 90s and all that, like Steve Austin and all that stuff." Um, and I've been going to them, if you think that it's interesting now because they've started doing stuff because The Rock and that's come back, you wait till next year when it's on Netflix. And they went, "What do you mean it's going to be on Netflix?" I was like, "Well, they've brought the rights." "Oh, so I can watch it on there?" "Yeah." It's like, but it's going to be live every week.
You just
And it's
know.
going to be in your face as much as like Stranger Things and, um, Bridgerton.
I really think
And
it's going to blow it up. I think you're going to see people go on Netflix and just see this banner for Monday Night Raw and think, oh, maybe I'll see what this is all about.
I'd love to. The thing I'm most interested in, and just going back to what I was talking about a minute ago, the thing I'm most interested with all of that is what do you think the viewership's going to be within the first 7 days of that first episode of Monday Night Raw that went to Netflix is going to be on? Because they can work out what roughly the ratings are
I
now
think,
on streaming
I think
services. I want to know what you know. I'm really interested to see what the viewership is within the first 7 days of that thing being on there.
I think it could potentially be their almost, like how TV viewership's gone down, but streaming services has gone up. And I think it's going to be the highest viewership.
It'll be the highest viewed episode of Raw ever. What I'm talking about in global terms, when you look at Netflix, where do you think that first episode within 7 days is going to fit within that trending worldwide or trending in the UK top 10? Because I think I can easily see it, not necessarily just because of viewership. It will be there quite a lot at the beginning because of ads. But I can see that thing coming in number 2 or number 3 the first week. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to be number 1. And the reason why I'm saying it's not going to be number 1 is because the week that it's launching is the week after Christmas and all that. Okay? And they launch a hell of a new show, hell loads of new shows, like new seasons of shows on that first week. But so does everyone like ITV and the BBC and Channel 4. All of the new dramas come out at that time of the year because it's winter and, they start really good dramas and stuff like that.
I think it's just going to be incredibly accessible. I mean, how many times do for us being on 1 a.m. and things like that, for UK fans, the accessibility.
The fact that we can just go and watch it now. And like people are thinking, yeah, but you could do that. Yeah, but we have to pay a separate subscription for stuff that we already have.
I mean, TNT Sports is it's ridiculously expensive, and
TNT is ridiculous.
and I only pay like.
And this is
30
the thing, you don't buy it for any other reason than watching that. It's all right if you're any other sports fan. If you're any other sports fan, if you're a football fan, you go down the pub and you watch the games, and then the other channels that have got them, they have like the Champions League on
I mean, yes,
Wednesday, and then Thursdays is Europa, which is now owned by Amazon Prime. And see, there's another example. People watch the Europa League loads more now because it's owned by bloody Prime. And this is the thing. This is what's going to happen with Raw and SmackDown. It's going to be there. It's going to be part of something you're already paying for. You're already paying out for it. They've just added to it. You might as well enjoy it whilst it's there.
The only thing I disagree with is I don't know why they're doing this. So Raw is from October 5th going down to 2 hours, and then when they start on Netflix again, it's going back to free.
Oh, it's going back to free when it goes to Netflix.
Yeah, and then
I
SmackDown.
thought it was staying as 2.
No. SmackDown and Raw are both going to be 3 hours long.
No, wrong decision. Wrong decision. I presumed from the announcement that it was going down to 2 hours and it was going to stay as 2 hours when it goes to Netflix.
It just baffles me a little bit. I mean, because I know they have a plethora of superstars and they all want to get attention, but people's attention spans, especially when it's a weekly show, it's just like it's a lot of time. That's for like you say, for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, that's 8 hours of your week, isn't it? To watch all of it.
But again, I'm really surprised that they've done that. But you never know how it's going to be until at the time. I apologize if you heard that. That was my phone. I know we were going to talk about what they've put in place already, which we will get back to. But just one thing that I was just thinking of, then was if when you look back at things that they've done to promote Raw or SmackDown in the past, and they're going to try all them kind of tricks in the book that may have been tried or tested before. Do you know one that I think would really, really work with the Netflix deal?
Go on.
Do you remember around about 2012, 2013? I think they did it for about 2 years. It was just after when they got rid of. I don't know if they were still in the middle of doing it actually. You remember they started off with the WWE website, and like if you voted in, you could do this and stuff like that. And then they had the wheel depending on what the match was going to be and all that kind of stuff. And then after that, they changed it up. And what they did afterwards is what I think they should do. I think they should get a guest host every week for Raw again for the first few months, because they could get people that are like massive on Netflix. They could have like a week where Stranger Things are hosting.
Billy Bobby Brown comes.
Yeah, people like that.
Like welcome to. All they have to do is come out and say welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, literally, and just do a couple of promos backstage. Done.
Yeah, and maybe have freaking Jon Snow himself, or something,
I'm trying to think of other examples, but you know what I mean? Them types of shows are really popular when they like have a new season out.
Do you know what I'm really surprised about? How much Post Malone loves wrestling and the fact he's been involved in 2K. I'm surprised we've never seen him on an episode.
I believe he was seen at Mania this year, or he was seen at SummerSlam.
That was.
I'm not comparing him to Jelly Roll. I know that. I know that was someone else that did the performance.
Yeah, no.
But I'm pretty sure he has been seen at a pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure he has. But going back to what we were originally going to talk about, which was the changes that they've put in place, what I thought of the premiere. In terms of everything they've done so far, I love some things. There's one thing I've got a bit of a problem with. And the one thing I've got a bit of a problem with is the new host of Raw. Now, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying that at all. But I can't remember the name of this guy, and I will check it in a minute.
You mean the commentator?
Yes, that's been changed from Pat McAfee.
You don't like him?
No, I'm not saying I don't like him. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is if you compare him to other people that have been in the commentary for wrestling before, and people that do commentary for other sporting events, there is not a massive difference, but there is quite a big difference. And I felt that he was treating it like a game day event, which I don't have a problem with, but I think it's going to take me a while to get used to that format of it being like, this is the equivalent of like Saturday football now. And I'm just like, I ain't got a problem with it because I know that like because it's being brought by them people, they're gonna want more known presenters on it, like commentators and that. But I just feel like, and I don't mean to be horrible when I say this, but if there are any Americans listening, the difference between your commentators and British commentators when it comes to sports is very far between. We're a lot more relaxed. We're not like, hey, and we're here live on the pitch at the beginning of the countdown for the game, and going for it. And I can't remember the name of the guy, but that's just what I thought when he originally started and they were standing up in the corner and stuff like that. I thought his energy was fantastic. You could clearly see he'd done his research. He really knew, what he was talking about. He did seem quite shocked about how violent it was at the beginning. I was like, what did you expect? But in terms of like knowing his facts, knowing when to call, putting the character of like explaining what's going on in the ring. I thought he did a great job of that. I just felt like I don't know how to describe it. I just felt like the way that he came across going between match to match and doing them filler bits was a bit OTT. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying there hasn't been people that have done that before. I mean, like look at Jim Ross and oh my god, and the King Jerry Lawler. Lawler was always the one that was over the top, and Jim was always the one that calmed him down. And I think you need that, that difference. And I think the two of them work really well. The one thing I'm concerned about though is goddamn, am I gonna miss Michael Cole on Raw? Personally, if WWE could pay him enough, honestly, I would just switch between the other WWE commentators every month and get Michael Cole to do SmackDown and Raw. Honestly, he's just so good at it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a plethora. There's a guy that used to commentate for NXT. Oh, what was his name? But he used to go, "Mamma Mia!" He was fantastic. I can't remember his name, but he was one of the best commentators I've ever heard. I don't know why he just did something for me. He made every moment feel bigger. That he made matches feel huge. I can't remember his bloody name, but where the hell is he? I'm just looking.
So the new guy, sorry, just to say, the new guy on Raw is Joe Testrio, and he's now doing it with Wade Barrett, which I think is a great fit. I think Wade Barrett fits really well. And now you've got Corey Grave and Michael Cole doing SmackDown. I think that that will work. I've seen, we've only had actually one episode of them two working together so far. And it was all right, but last week I was mainly concentrating on Roman came back, which was fantastic. There was a Hell in the Cell match. We don't go into them details anymore, by the way, guys, of the podcast, because we know that people that listen to the show are people that are wrestling fans. You kind of know what's going on right now. But we're kind of like the people that you talk to when you're talking about it with a mate. You're like, oh, you saw the match last night, yeah. And then we're kind of like we're the guys in the middle. We know what's going on. You guys know what's going on. But let's talk about like the big headliners stuff that's going on, and stuff like that. So just jumping on that, I thought SmackDown was great, as I just said. Hell in the Cell, it wasn't a Hell in the Cell. It was a steel cage match, which still drives me up the wall that they call it that. And
Why does that drive you up the wall?
because I just think it's a cell. It's a cell. It's a cage or it's a cell.
Bro, it's been
It's made of steel. Great. You don't need to put it in the name. It's like certain things that people say, oh, I'm horseback riding. It's horse riding. Where else are you going to ride the horse on the bloody leg? Oh, this is great fun, Bob.
I disagree. Still
Yeah.
cage all.
Fair enough. But jumping on that really quickly, what do you think of the whole Roman and Cody thing?
Interesting. Very interesting. I think it's what Cody needed. This awkward tension between Roman and Cody.
It makes you really think about where they're gonna go for Raw this year. God, need to get Raw out of my brain. It's bloody Raw.
Where's Paul Heyman?
That's a good question. Yes. Well, because the week before he was gonna quit, and then something happened. I think Cody got involved.
I saw a fantastic thing on Twitter, and I think I may have reposted it or liked it, but it was fantastic. And it's an excellent side by side shot of when Roman was champion and when he wasn't. And recently, Roman entered and he looked to the side and no one was there. And then he walked up the stairs. And then the other shot was him. He looked to the side, and Paul Heyman was there with the belt.
Yeah.
It was done excellently. And it's just like him's, these little subtle things, him looking to the side and no one's there. And he just realized.
Do you know the thing that I think is going to happen with that? And I've said this before, and I think I've said this on the podcast. Especially because of how it's this whole story this year, by the way, with Punk and McIntyre, it's just been so good. Oh my God. I think it's been one of my favorite storylines this year. It's just been so, so good. I think if Heyman doesn't show up at Bad Blood, which we're going to go into in a minute, by the way, guys, I think that Heyman is going to go back to Punk. I really, really think that if they're going to pull the trigger on that, considering how well that story has gone this year, because let's face it, and I'm not being horrible here, I love Cody. He's one of my favorites. But to me, the best storyline this year has actually been McIntyre and Punk. I've just thought it was brilliant from Royal Rumble all the way through up to Mania, everything that's gone in between, all the way up to what happened at SummerSlam. It has been superb.
I don't know if you feel the same, but it's the first time in forever where I actually feel like a Hell in a Cell match is justified. Like,
yes.
That's been a long time since every other Hell in a Cell match is just for the sake of it, but this actually feels like they need to have this match.
Yeah.
And the fact, did you hear what Punk said? He said, "I promise I will make you bleed." And that
and yet the pay-per-view's called Bad Blood. I wonder where he got that line from.
Great that they're pulling the trigger on this blood thing.
And that's the other thing, going back into what we were speaking about a minute ago, like showing them signs of what they're going to do at Netflix. I think it's going to get more violent again.
I do. And the fact that Vince didn't like it, but Vince is gone, and I think Triple H likes a bit of the old blood.
Yeah.
And not only that, I mean,
he's shown his fair share of it over the years with his career.
Yeah, and audiences like it. I mean, I'm sorry, but look at UFC. People love violence. They love a bit of violence.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Cody, in that steel cage match, now Cody really, I think, had a failed attempt at blading in that match because he did bleed from the top of his head, but there wasn't much of it. And I think he failed at doing it deep enough. I think he was supposed to bleed a lot more in that match, but he didn't. I think he was supposed to be quite crimson masked in that match. So basically, Cody, they made reference to it on the commentary. Cody looked like he tried to blade his head, but I don't think he did it deep enough, so there wasn't like a full-on crimson mask. But at least I think they tried to. I think he tried to do it, and I think it was just a failed attempt. But it just shows that a bit more violence is coming on our screens, and that was the best steel cage match on TV I've seen in a long time. I thought that was a really good match.
100%.
I kind of knew it was going to be. I feel like they were going to pull out the stops on that match, and they really did. It was really insane. I mean, you could have seen that match on the pay-per-view. It was great.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. Again, I didn't see the particular moment. I just clearly missed it when I was watching it. But no, it was a fantastic match. I'll tell you who did have a fantastic match this week. Going off news this week, if we're going to do that for once, unlike usual. I highly recommend anyone that hasn't seen it yet to go back and watch Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed. Oh my God, that was so good. So good. Yeah. I mean, what did you think? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen that match, actually.
It's fantastic. Honestly, I cannot recommend it more. It's probably one of the best matches I've seen in a long, long time. Yeah.
I'll watch that. And I also saw, I don't know how I missed this, but apparently Daniel Bryan versus Will Ospreay in Dynasty. It must have happened a few months ago. It was one of the best matches ever, and I can't believe it. I don't think I've seen it. I missed it. I need to go back and watch it.
There you go. That's something that we haven't spoken about yet. How was All Out? Because we missed it.
Well, I'll just briefly touch on All Out. It was excellent. It was excellent. It was a fantastic pay-per-view. I would implore anyone to go and watch it. All the matches on the card were great. The highlights being Will Ospreay versus Pac. I mean, the thing is, Will Ospreay, he's one of those guys. He just can't have a bad match. He's just fantastic.
No, but I think the only people he has bad matches to is the people that don't like that style of wrestling. Which, again, end of the day, we've all got different moves. Well, not moves, but you know what I'm trying to say. Different styles of wrestling, because it's so broad these days that,
Also,
but yeah,
Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve was fantastic again. Very bloody, very crazy. There was a chair shot to the head. It was a mental match. It was very good.
How was Moxley?
Moxley did interrupt Daniel Bryan, didn't he? That was a great match as well. Jack Perry versus Daniel Bryan, fantastic match.
There you go. That's a quick subject to touch on really quickly. What did you think? Because some people had a very interesting
people
opinion on that. Did it go too far? Was it, too rough?
Completely disagree with people that say it goes too far. I mean, people just are never happy. They want more violent products. They get it, and then they say it's too violent. It's not at all. It's all make believe. I mean, you see much, much worse things. I mean, it's fucking wrestling, for God's sake. It's people fighting each other. It's all land of make believe. Who cares?
As long as you're over 18.
Yeah,
I'm
but
going to
it's
make this statement to you, and I mean this. As long as you're over 18, to anyone that thinks that was over the top, I dare you to go and watch Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2.
Yeah,
that's over the top.
Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't even that bad. It was just really interesting, very intense. I'm loving John Moxley's new sort of character. I'm loving his new group. I think it's going to lead to really great things. AEW currently, I feel like the product is really, really good, and
It has got better. It has got better.
No, well, I mean, but the thing is with AEW currently is they're really struggling to sell tickets for events. And at the moment on Twitter, if you've seen any of the pictures for like recent events, it's terrible. It's sad to see. They've got a whole arena and only one side is full, and then everywhere else is empty.
I think they need to base themselves in Europe. I genuinely think that would fix the whole problem.
I mean, they could. I mean, there's a big outcry for that. In the Europe.
If they moved, there you go. There's my statement for this week. If they moved AEW all over to do the same kind of thing they do, weekly shows and all that, but they just did it over Europe. So like 1 week they were in Brussels, the next week they were in Paris. 1 week they're in Spain. Next week they're in give me another country, Callum. The UK.
Slovakia.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Slovakia, somewhere like that. Genuinely think that they wouldn't have the problem selling tickets as long as they kept them at the decent pricing. We all had them conversations about dynamic pricing in the last couple of weeks because of two brothers. Won't mention the powers of pain that went towards everybody going through that experience. There you go. That's a good idea. This is a good question for us to end on. This has been a bit of a random chat video. That's what this one's going to be called, by the way. This episode is going to be called Random Chat. We've not really had a subject. We've just had a nice conversation, to be fair, which I really like it when we do episodes like this. Because we kind of like just show our interests, which I think helps the viewers, get to know us better. But going off that, I'm going to say it. So I think it happened the week before we took a break. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago on our last episode, if you listen to that, I don't think we mentioned it then. But of course, one of the biggest things in the general world was that the Gallagher brothers got back together, our kid, and going on tour around UK. I was very lucky. I got tickets. Callum, not so much. Just very quickly on that, my random question that I'm going to pull back to this. Promise it will make sense in a minute. Do you think there's ever been a moment? What would be the moment that you would say in the wrestling world compares to the Oasis reunion? I've got one in my head.
I mean, what that's happened. I mean, it would probably be CM Punk coming back.
Yeah, I think that's pretty high.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would say. Or maybe I don't know. Yeah, that's
You know,
probably
because
it.
there's moments out there where you go like, I never thought I'd see the day this would happen. And you have that, and like CM Punk is one of them 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'd say one for me, I think it's just because it was two blokes involved as well, was when the Hardy Boys came back. I thought that was just so cool.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was,
But I'm trying to think, has there been like there has been major moments of wrestling, but is there anything you could compare to I tell you one. This Shield getting back together for one last match. That was pretty cool.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all thought it was going to happen again at Mania. Whoever made that decision with the music, I swear to God, you know what you did. You know what you did to us then that night. We were hyped. You'd already brought in Cena. You know, we were already getting ready for, this epic moment, which it was. But man, did you really have to play the Shield music to bring in Seth Rollins?
I know. I
Because
thought.
you hear it and we didn't think it was gonna be Seth. Of course we didn't. We're idiots. When you play that music, you assume there's gonna be three people in the ring. Well, one of them from that group was already there. The other one's already known for being in the company and had a match at the beginning of that night. So I didn't presume it would be him. So the only other person would be the one at the other company. There you go. That's my little rant.
It's true, man. It's true.
Yeah. No, but I've enjoyed this conversation. It's been very good talking
I
about,
have. Yes.
Netflix, what we think is going to happen at Netflix. What we've been thinking about, the things that have changed recently, um, things we'd like to see, things we don't want to see. I've enjoyed this. It's been a nice little chat. Next week we've got a very interesting episode for you. We're going to leave you with a little preview or sneak peek for next week. So basically, as most of you know, the one thing we haven't spoken about, the one thing that is happening next week in the wrestling world that everybody is talking about is the documentary on Mr. McMahon releases 1 week. I think it's today. I think it's 1 week today. It comes out. Now, as some of you may know, if you've been listening to a while, we have a very, very nice editor. His name is Peter. Peter is completely unaware of wrestling. He's got a lot more informed with it whilst editing this. Hi, Peter. Thanks for doing that job for us.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter. Shout out to Peter, everybody.
Peter.
Peter. And Peter, he's got he's not unknowledgeable on wrestling. He's learned quite a bit, and he does ask quite a few questions to me each week when he's editing stuff, just saying like, "What does this mean? What does that mean? Who's that person?" Da, 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 da. And he's become a lot more interested to the point where he actually said to me, Callum, that he's really interested in going to a show at some point, which
Oh,
I thought, oh, that could be really fun to
let's take
take
him.
him
Let's take
to.
him.
Let's
Yeah,
do
let's
it.
take him.
Yeah.
Do it.
So we're going to sort that out at some point. But what we thought would be really interesting, instead of us two sitting here and giving you our shock reactions of, oh, I can't believe they said this, they got that bit out, I can't believe that was said, I never knew that happened. Da, 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 da. What I thought would be really fun is that, look, it's going on Netflix. A lot of the people that are going to view that are going to be non-wrestling fans. So why don't we get someone on the show that's not a non-wrestling fan, but isn't as informed, and will give a completely non-biased opinion on this documentary? Because let's be honest, if me and him sat here talking about this documentary for an hour, 2 hours, probably next week, it would be very opinionated because we already knew stuff and we have our favourites and we've heard other things. if we're going off someone that's never heard anything and this is their first escape into this world, and believe me, there will be a lot of people that this is true for, because they will know that it's coming to Netflix. They'd want to know a bit more about it, and they'd see this documentary as, oh, that's quite a clever way of introducing people. We're going to have Pete on the show next week, and we're going to get his honest reaction to the documentary, and we're going to answer all the questions that he has. Because I think that one, he definitely will have questions. I think all of us will. But I think that it will be really interesting to, see how he views it. Because I'm really, and I think this is why this is a good idea, Callum. Because I think both you and me are really in a. He has done a really, really bad thing. He's done a really, really bad thing, and we're not taking it away from that. It's disgusting. It's horrible. But, and this doesn't make it better or let us think, oh, you should get away with it because of this. But there is a certain point you've got to go, yeah, but we literally wouldn't have this podcast having this conversation about wrestling, about WWE, about it going to Netflix if it wasn't for that man.
It's
Literally,
very true.
the entire landscape of wrestling would not be the way it is. So, yes, what he's done is absolutely awful. It's criminal. It's disgusting. I completely do not condemn anything that he's done and do not think he should get away with it. However, you should not take away the the impact that he's had. Good or bad, you can't say he's not had an impact on not just the wrestling industry, but the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I really agree.
Yeah. What are you, just really quickly, we'll finish on this because we know that people will probably have these questions. Callum, what are you expecting to come out from this documentary? Because I really think this is going to be something that's going to boil over into being headlines globally. Like, honestly, I'm warning people, this is going to be your next Tiger King or something like that. It's going to be
Excellent.
it's just
Excellent.
it's almost like
Excellent.
it's just a bit concerning to think what could come out, what won't come out. Is it going to disgrace the entire industry to a point where people will go, shouldn't even be buying this product? And that's the thing I'm worried about. Is that where it is called the Mr. McMahon documentary instead of I think if they would have called it the WWE documentary, they would have. I think that they would look at it so much more clearer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where they have put his name on it and he's on the poster, it's just one of those things where it seems like you've done a documentary on him, which they have. But if you would have just called it the WWE story instead, it wouldn't have been as. Oh, I don't know. I don't think the build up would be as intense as it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
If there's
agree.
any
Yeah.
other opinions you got on that?
Um, that's the thing. I think they were making this documentary before that all came out, right?
Well, that's the thing. And this is why I think they should have just called it the WWE story. It's because they already had about a year and a half footage. I mean, there was a time in May to June, I'd say May to June this year, where we was told that this documentary would never be released. It's been shelved. It's not happening. They're not going to release it. Absolutely no way. So what's made them pull the trigger on that? The other thing I find really interesting is that it's a WWE documentary to Netflix, which is where WWE is going next year, and WWE are refusing to talk about it, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, that is strange too.
Mm.
It is.
Yeah. So maybe they're worried that it's going to give them a bad representation. But then at the same time, surely you would have had some negotiation with them, considering the amount of money that has been put on the table for this deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And surely there must have been people that must have seen the documentary that needed to clear it to give them the permission to release it. You know, there's all these sides of it as well.
It's a peculiar one. It's a peculiar one. It really is.
Yeah. No, 100%. But we will speak about all of that next week. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't have a choice. But for those that did tune in, we will speak to you next week. Going over the documentary and speak about anything else coming up. Remember, if you've got any random questions you want to ask us, or if you want to ask questions about the documentary to us next week, or questions you want us to give to Peter, as remember this, it's an interesting situation. We're gonna have someone on the show that doesn't really know a lot about wrestling. So if you've got recommendations for him to go and watch, and what does he think of this, all that kind of stuff, send us a question to give to him. It'll be interesting. But for now, thank you so much for listening to Before the Recount. I have been Charlie.
I've been Callum.
And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you very much.